Hey everybody, Miguel here from Team Booberfic again. I'm going to be talking about Metal Gear Rising, the game that's been made from ground up 3 times apparently. And of course, I am a big fan of Metal Gear, and I'm going to be talking about what the story is in store for all of us. Well, number one, I don't know a lot about it, but of course everybody has their predictions, and some people may be right, some people may be wrong. But what happens after 4? Well, if you see, of course, that trailer that they released, the new one that they released on the Konami pre-E3 thing, is that we see Raiden. Of course, they show him as a kid, a child soldier, and then you see him growing up, and he's of course holding the gun, and then you see him in the Metal Gear 2 version, and then you see him in the Metal Gear Solid 4 version, and then you see him in the Metal Gear Rising version. And of course, if you've seen it, the trailer, you hear the guy saying, after the fall of the Sons of the Patriots, or the Patriots, the cyber technology goes rampant. Because remember, all the guns were controlled. Okay? I may be wrong, but correct me. But I'm pretty sure all the guns were controlled. Not all of them. Of course, Snake had some that weren't controlled. But you couldn't use them without the nano machines. Okay? So, all the guns are basically controlled. Of course, we still see the PMCs. Yes, they're still here. Alright, just because the SOP is gone doesn't mean that they're going to give up on that. That's what I think. And of course we see the Gecko, which everyone's still going, why is there Gecko? What's going on here? Well, just because something ends doesn't mean it's going to stop right away. Because remember, Liquid Ocelot said that after we destroy, or we stop the GW and all the AIs, the whole world is going to go into chaos. Which of course he was wrong. But then we have Rising, which of course we have war still going on. So somewhat he was right, somewhat he was wrong. And of course, if you think about it, Ocelot was the real hero. Because he could have stopped Old Snake a long time ago, but he didn't, because he says it in part 4. So, that being said, how many years does this take place after 4? Does it take many years? Like 6 years or 5 years after? What happens to Old Snake? Will we see the grave of Old Snake? Because after MGS4, he only has about 2 to 3 or so months left. He's old. He's got this of course, the new fox type, but of course that prevents the old one from growing. And of course, the new fox that will mutate one day, but all that stuff. But what happens to Sonny? What happens to Otacon? What happens to Meryl? What happens to Johnny? Of course, they get married at the end of 4. But what happens? They have to show something, and if they don't, then that's ridiculous. They have to show something. Of course, how is the story going to play? Of course, in the new trailer, they show that it looks like a president or some type of political guy. He's in the car, he's writing it, and then they show that weird bald cyborg dude with the barcode, and he has like a samurai helmet, but it's like half of it's gone, and then you see his bald head in it. And of course he has the guy tied up, the black guy, and then he gets his sword, and he's just like cutting him here. It looks freaking ridiculous, insane, intense. And of course they show another clip where he stabs him in the back and comes out and just blood squirting everywhere. And of course they show the other cyborg ninja from the VGA trailer that they were back when they released it and they announced it. And of course, if you look closely, he has he has armor. So, and of course, when you saw the previous old trailer, he doesn't have the armor on. So it's like maybe they start off with armor and they lose it because they're always fighting or something. And of course, we see them in the vehicles, and he's blocking all the shots of the gunner shooting at him. And of course, to me that looks like South Africa. Maybe we go back there, maybe for whatever reason. Of course, that looks like South Africa to me. So yeah, I think it's South Africa, and yeah. So I think those scenes I think takes place in South Africa. But I mean, I'm not really worried about. I'm not really concerned about the location. I'm concerned about the old characters from MGS4, new characters, the story plot. Of course, we all have to wait and find out. But I'm tired of waiting. We've waited to me. I think we waited long enough. We should, 2013. I think is just ridiculous to wait. But that's just me. Of course, MGS4 came out 2008, and then Peace Walker came out 2010. But then, it's just because remember they remade Rising 3 times. Apparently 3 times is what one of my friends said. 3 times from the ground up. Okay, 2 times, or I think it was 2 or 1 time. They tried doing it with the Fox engine. They failed. We understand it was frustrating for them. It was frustrating for us because, of course, we were waiting for it. But of course, they pushed so much pressure on them. So they started from scratch again. They failed again, which is okay. They're trying to make it perfect. So they get Pan Am Games. They get to do it. Of course, everybody gets mad because it's like, oh, this is not how it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I'm like, you know what? Hey, at least they're making it, If Platinum Games said no, we're not going to do it, they would have canceled the game. But of course, everyone was like, whoa, they should have done that and just make part 5. No, because Kojima wants to do his other project. He wants to do other stuff. People are still complaining, why don't they do Zone of Enders 3 or whatever the game's called, or New Police Knots or whatever other Kojima games that he's done. Of course, Kojima wants to do a new thing. He's tired. To be honest, I think he's kind of tired of Metal Gear. Not really, but I mean, to just create it over and over and over because, he's frustrated. Of course, he's already old. I'm not saying old, but I mean he's already in his, he wants to do other stuff, not just Metal Gear. He has other plans. He has other projects that he wants to come out with. Of course, with other creators, they all do the same. With new games, we have to cut him some slack. He wants to do his new project. It looks fan-freaking-tastic with the Fox engine. Of course, he's not giving up that Fox engine. Of course not. He can't give it up. It's just amazing. But remember, he's stressed out. He's got his family and his personal life. But of course, the fans always demand more, always want more. But I mean, if we just push it, it's gonna stress him out. It's just gonna be like, you know what, I'm getting out of this. But of course, he's not gonna do that because that's what pays his salary. But of course, there are always haters out there. There's always haters. But back to Rising. Of course, everyone's still kind of like, or some people are even calling it, what Ninja Gaiden should have been, because of the just hacking, slashing, blood, gore everywhere. Come on, what other games are gonna do that? Not any recent ones that I've seen. So yeah, of course, back to the trailer. the new trailer that they released. The part where they show Raiden and he's in his MGS4 uniform. He looks like the MGS4 Raiden. And then, he's like, if you hear him talking, and then they kind of zoom in on his face, and then like his eye just like rips open, and you see his cyborg eye. And then, I was just like, well, dang, why would they show that? Why would they show that? Maybe is that the beginning of the game? If they show that, will we see Vamp again? A cyborg-netic Vamp? Which I doubt, but, I mean, think about it. If they do that, why not make a cyborg Vamp or something? Which would be stupid, but I'm just, brainstorming again. And a lot of people are like, what is the story going to be? Of course, it's about writing. Remember, after MGS4, at the ending of MGS4, where he's pissed off at Rose because, he was still kind of pissed off. His mind's messed up. His mind is fragile because of his childhood, and he's getting flashbacks. So at the ending of MGS4, you see him. Of course, he loses both of his freaking hands. But of course, they show him back with both hands reattached. He's on the bed. He sees Rose with a kid. He finds out it's his kid. He's going, oh man, well, I gotta, stop acting stupid, get my life back together, raise this family. But then, of course, Rising comes up. Something bad happens. I have a feeling that that either he goes insane, of course, because I don't know really. This is just what I think. He goes insane. He starts having more flashbacks, or either that, or he gets kidnapped, which is just another whatever what my mind thinks makes up. Maybe he gets kidnapped and he gets tortured to the point of no return, so he goes crazy. He becomes Jack the Ripper again. Or it's just, I'm just making shit up, but I'm just what I believe. But then at the same time, it's like, what happens after part 2, and what leads up to 4? See, that's what everybody's saying. Why is it taking place after? What happens after? How does he become the cyborg? Why is he a super cyborg in Rising than what he was in MGS4? And of course, if you see the Maker little clips that they did, videos, we hear Solidus Snake. We hear him. He's saying, he's talking to him when he's like a little. Maybe we'll see some like scenes or flashbacks of him being tortured by Solidus Snake or something. Or you see, of course, Solidus Snake, because remember, he's the one who created him. It was his stepfather. He made him into the man he is basically today, or who messed up his mind. But of course, something happens. He gets saved by Dr. Magnar. Okay, no, I don't really see anybody talking about Dr. Magnar, the man who saves his life. Of course, and then that's when he meets Big Mama Eva, or Ava, whatever you want to name her. But remember, Dr. Magnar, I think, plays a big role in Rising, because of course he saves Raiden. He makes him into this cybernetic ninja, and with the white blood, and of course saves him. And then that's why we see him in MGS4. But they never explained it really how he became a ninja. Of course, MGS2 he ends up, leaving with a sword, and then he sees Rose, and that's the end of it. And then MGS4 comes out, and then he's in there, and he's already a ninja. But then it's like they don't explain that much about it. So hopefully we'll see more of that in Rising. What happened after MGS2? What happened? Because remember, after in MGS4, Rose says to Snake that he started to be unstable. That's why she became. That's why she went into psychical, mental, all about the psychic mind and stuff like that. Because I think she was trying to help him out, but he became violent. He got drunk. He started having flashbacks to the point where he would not come home. He would always be drunk and shit like that. And I think what happened is that something during that time, because she says he disappeared. No one, not even Snake, knew where he was at. I think during that time someone kidnapped him. Made him into the cyborg when he was having these, flashbacks and mind. He becomes the cyborg. He becomes a cyborg. He gets kidnapped. He becomes a cyborg. He gets tortured more and more or something. And then, of course, Dr. Magnar saves his life. Because he says it, he saves his life. Okay, I think that's a big key in the story. Okay, but Dr. Magnar saves him. And then he goes and maybe saves Sunny. Remember that. He saves Sunny. Right, and saves Sunny from the Patriots. But how does he do that? From becoming a ninja. He becomes a ninja. He infiltrates the facility or whatever, wherever she's being held. Saves her. Brings her back to... Finds Otacon. Takes it to her. Or, drops her off or something. And then, of course, he gets injured in Act 2 and MGS4 when he fights Vamp. Naomi, Sunny, and Raiden take Raiden to go see Dr. Magnar in, I think, Eastern Europe or somewhere. I forget where. They take him back over there to get help because, he's losing a lot of blood and he's injured. And then MGS4 ends. He finds out that he has a kid. And that's how it ends. That's it. But then Rising, years or I don't know how long after, why is he coming back to being Jack the Ripper? It's of course he's like going crazy. He goes crazy. I think he goes crazy again. Maybe what happens is that he's like a ninja in MGS4. He can't step away from it, or something big happens. Maybe his kid gets killed, or he gets kidnapped, or Rose gets injured, or dies, or they both get kidnapped. Rose and John, his kid. And then he's trying to find them or something. Something like that, or they get killed, or he kills them because of his craziness, that he becomes crazy. Or I don't know. Just so much stuff that it's just like, it's just too intense. What happens to Meryl? Does she become a cyborg? What happens to Johnny? Do they all become cyborgs? Is that the new thing? Instead of the SOP system that everybody wanted. Everybody had a PMC. Everyone was, everything was about war in MGS4. That was the war economy. Everything was war. You make money from war. Blah, blah, blah. But of course, Liquid used that against everybody else, taking control and fucking everybody up and going bang. Everybody goes crazy. Everything goes unstable and stuff like that. But then it's like, now it's cyborgnetic. Now, everything gets like all high tech. Everything, the guns are no longer the ideal weapon. It's now swords. It's now these cyborgs that are like, the Gecko are no longer, like a feared foe. You could take those out like nothing. Not even a fucking Metal Gear. Raiden took that shit out like nothing by blocking his blade arm that it had. Grabbed it, chuck the fuck out of it, jumping up like 100 feet, slashing the fuck out of it, and it's just crazy. But of course, the story is to me the most important. I don't care about gameplay. I just want to know what happens. I do kind of care about gameplay, but I'm more and more what happens. I have to know what happens. But of course, we have to wait unless they release more trailers later in the months ahead. Hopefully for the Tokyo Game, the video game show, they talk more about it. Most likely because it's in Tokyo. It's in September, I think. September. So hopefully, they talk about more and that. But remember, they have to talk about something about Dr. Magnar. They mention him in 4, but they don't show him. He's the one who saves Raiden. That's, to me, the most important thing. Who is, Dr. Magnar? I think he was in the Metal Gear for the Super Nintendo version. But but then he disappeared. And then he helps Raiden out in MGS 4. But I think he plays a big role in Rising. What happens to the old character? What happens to Otacon? What happens to Sonny? Sonny, protected Raiden, or try to protect them. But of course, Raiden says, leave me alone. I don't want to be, I don't want to be alive with, someone else's will or whatever he says, because he's like all, he's still, messed up in the head. Will if this takes years after, will we see Sonny as a cyborg ninja, or whatever, her mom was, Olga was a ninja, was Mr. X or whatever, and she loved her mom, she tried to find more information about her, but of course she died. She didn't really know her, but I'm pretty sure she sees, Raiden, and then she's like, yeah, I have to take that path. But of course, everyone's still like, why? Of course, Otacon didn't want her to be, to leave the Nomad, that's the plane. But of course, when she finds out about the outside world, she's like, she really likes it. But then it's like, why end the game just like that? They get, Meryl gets married with Johnny. Snake, sees, of course, his father. His father dies. They leave him at the, there's just so much. What happens after? What happens after is my big concern is what the fuck happened after. Does the Snake die? Do they find a way to save him? Do they hook him up on nanomachines, what they did to Big Boss? But I don't know. What happens to Otacon? Otacon's a badass. He gets laid. Of course, every woman he loves gets killed. What happened? What happens to all the characters? They just can't end the game like that. I understand they ended the game as with Old Snake, basically the story of Old Snake, or playing as him. I don't really know the details about that, but I mean, there's so many questions. It's just so many questions. Why are there Gecko? Why are there still PMCs? What happens to Driven? What happens to Colonel? What happens to Rose? What happens to Jack? It's just stuff like that. And of course, the story. What is going to be the story like? Who are these new characters? It's just, can't wait. Let me know what you guys think. This is a long video, of just me talking. But let me know what you guys think. Comment, subscribe, like, please. I need the likes and stuff like that. Just to make more videos and stuff like that. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys know any more information, if I'm wrong, about something, let me know. Because of course I don't, of course this story is just so epic. Um, so yeah, let me know. Comment, subscribe. All right, thank you.